Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in good spirits wherever you are in the world. And I'd like to take this opportunity to speak to you very briefly about a Japanese filmmaker, and specifically one of his films that I find to be very important, immensely fascinating, and endlessly captivating in many respects. It is bold, it is experimental, it is rough, it is very outlandish and outrageous. And this is the type of cinema that still excites me and frightens me and makes me wonder and wonder and wonder some more. So the filmmaker is Shinya Tsukamoto. Shinya Tsukamoto. And the film that I just wanted to mention very briefly is called this, which is TETSUO, or TETSUO, and it's also known as TETSUO, the Iron Man. And this is a work that emerged from the mind and the heart, almost the angst, if you will, in this particular moment in Japanese cinema. And it's been an incredible ride ever since. Now, Shinya Tsukamoto's voice in the context of Japanese cinema is unparalleled, it is bold, it is groundbreaking, it is scary, it is a kind of science fiction, horror, cyberpunk voice that is so much more, that is calling for a real look at the world, at the environment, at human beings and relationships with the world and relationships with each other and thus ourselves, and all the sorts of wildly inventive permutations that emerge or arise from that kind of philosophical or cinematically philosophical outlook on the world. And I think a prime example of this kind of bold, inventive, subversive, experimental cinema is the film Tetsuo, the Iron Man. This film is not for everyone. That is a fact, I think. This film is certainly not for everyone in terms of its content, in terms of its production values, in terms of what it's trying to say and how it is presenting that information. It is quite intense in a lot of places. It is quite graphic in a lot of places. And so this is certainly not for anyone who is not necessarily into intense sci-fi, almost horror type of cinema. But for anyone who is okay with this kind of high-level intensity of one's cinema viewing, and you haven't seen Tetsuo the Iron Man, then I would strongly recommend giving it a try, because, as I say, this is a type of film that has left its mark on the landscape of Japanese cinema, contemporary Japanese cinema, and also on the landscape of cinema at large. This is a film that in many ways made Tsukamoto's name abroad for sure, but it did so for, I think, for a lot of reasons, a lot of great reasons. For example, the reach with which it explores the sorts of depths and cavities, if you will, of a kind of carved out human existence in contemporary, highly industrialized Japanese society that is also very barren, that is also filled with a lot of insecurities and technologies that seem to be both purposeful but also aimless. And there is, in essence, an existential threat that comes, and this existential threat is manifest in the context of the cinema in the form of what might be termed sort of high-level techno body horror. the idea of technology and flesh, and the idea of the battle between those two realms, or the synthesis, or the convergence, or the complications that arise between this kind of clash, if you will. And this is all stemming from a sense of not necessarily knowing where one is, who one is supposed to be. It is very deeply disturbing. It has elements, as I say, of Japanese technological horror, which can also be described as being very Kafkaesque, and also having a sense of wonder and awe, and a real admirable sense also of cinematic craft in terms of how it was put together, an almost homemade feel that is indicative of a singular voice in terms of cinematic style and outreach. And this is in essence what this film Tetsuo the Iron Man is about, but it is so much more. It is a real explosion. It is a true explosion of ideas and art made cinematic flesh in a bold and truly mesmerizing and horrifying way, the results of which still are staggering to me to this very day. I cannot ever get over the impact that this film had for me when I first saw it many, many, many years ago, not really expecting the kinds of assaults on the senses that I was eventually to receive upon watching this on first viewing. And my life has not been the same since. And I am so grateful to the voice of Shinya Tsukamoto, and this film in particular, for having that kind of great impact on me through my cinematic journey in my own life. And so this film, Tetsuo the Iron Man, is one, as I say, if you are okay with a very intense kind of presentation in sort of sci-fi body horror cinema, then, and if you haven't seen this film, this is a singular example of a real important pivotal work in the landscape of contemporary Japanese cinema that really cannot be ignored. And also I mention it now because these films, this film in particular, but other works by Tsukamoto, are now enjoying re-releases and further editions of Blu-ray box sets, etc., both in the United Kingdom and also in the United States. And so I think those are going to be beginning to get sold, at least as of the time of this recording of this particular video. And so this is, I think, a great opportunity for anyone who has not yet experienced the world of Tsukamoto to really explore those. Once again, these box sets, this particular Blu-ray is my Japanese Blu-ray. I have this film on other versions, but this is the Blu-ray that I have. It doesn't have English subtitles or anything like that. But as I say, this and other films by Tsukamoto are going to be released on various English language friendly box sets, both in the United Kingdom and also in the United States, if they haven't already. And so this is probably a very prime opportunity for anyone who is interested in getting into the works of Tsukamoto to give those films a try. There are many that are worth talking about. And in fact, I should say that I don't necessarily know when I'm going to receive it, but I've already purchased, or I've made an online pre-order with respect to one of those box set releases in North America of the works of Tsukamoto. And when that arrives, I'll probably be talking more about his works in subsequent videos sometime, hopefully in the next month or so, because I have so much admiration for the world of Tsukamoto and that kind of voice that he has so brilliantly carved out for himself, and the types of input, or the types of cinematic output, let me say, that he has generated throughout his career is extraordinary. It is absolutely extraordinary. The work of a real unique voice, a consummate artist. and one that hopefully will get more and more and more exposure, and more people will begin to talk about his works. There have been so many, of course, fans around the world. I've been asked about his works many times on this channel, and I've always tried to talk more about his films, but hopefully this year will provide more opportunity for more discussion of his works. I will certainly try when that box set arrives here, which hopefully is very soon. But in any event, my friends, I just would urge you to consider exploring the world of Tsukamoto. And if you haven't already, one of the great stops along the way, again, if this kind of cinema is okay for you and your tastes, one of the great stops along the way, one of those unforgettable, just mind-blowing stops along the way, at least potentially anyway, is this work, Tetsuo. Tetsuo the Iron Man. This is one that once you've seen it, you can never unsee it. And it's one that has so many tricks and so many ideas that are presented in a very creatively mysterious way, and yet there's something intuitively right about it. In other words, there's stuff that is ambiguous, and yet that ambiguity in a very powerful way makes so much sense. I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but those of you who know the film, maybe I hope I'm making myself clear. I don't want to mention too much about it lest I spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but believe me, again, if this type of cinema is okay for you, if you plan on seeing this film, you are in for one heck of a cinematic ride. And if this is any indication, then please, I hope you continue through your journey through the cinematic landscape that is the world of Shinya Tsukamoto, because there's so much here. And I've been so privileged to be able to have seen a number of his works from many, many years back, and just growing up and being able to be surprised every single time and be shocked and almost disrupted, but always in a good way, because as I say, his works are that powerful and that memorable. And so this is a year that is we're seeing a lot of great releases and a lot of planned releases later this year, etc. But one of those areas of cinema that I hope, for those of you who are interested anyway, I hope is a very exciting and bold and adventurous area of cinema to explore, is the world of Shinya Tsukamoto. And in that world, one of those great places to stop and to examine and to really absorb the shock value of the world of Shinya Tsukamoto is this film, Tetsuo the Iron Man. If you haven't seen it and you're okay with this kind of bold, inventive, disturbing cinema, then this is surely one that you should check out as soon as possible. And once again, there are, I think, many emerging possibilities and many emerging options for those of you outside of Japan who are still eager, yearning for more Tsukamoto works on Blu-ray box sets, etc. So I hope you enjoy those. Once again, I'll try to make more videos when I receive my particular pre-order box set, and then we will go from there. But in the meantime, my friends, I hope you enjoy what it is that these films have in store, because as I say, once you've seen them, you can never unsee them. So anyway, that is just a brief comment about this film and about Tsukamoto in general, and so I hope you enjoy, my friends. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so that's it for now, and so until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great movies. Until we meet again, my friends, thank you and cheers.